This is Sudbury, a young city, a growing city. This is Sudbury, Ontario city of today, city of the future.
Once upon a time there was a land as bare as the face of the moon.
And in this strange land there lived a little boy and there lived a little girl.
Take that. Hi.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
My name's Chris.
And I'm Ruth.
And we are from Sudbury.
Yes.
And we're making a video called the pINCO Triangle about people who grew up lesbian or gay, and or gay,
Lesbian.
and or gay, and
Lesbian.
in Sudbury.
Chris was a typical little boy whose mother dressed him funny. Funny, ha ha. His own attempts at fashion were also considered funny. Funny peculiar.
Ruth was also a typical little boy. She planted trees for the Boy Scouts of Canada, played on a boys' soccer team, and built Lego super stacks with her brother.
Well, Barbie, it's time for your haircut. How would you like a crew cut? Snip, snip.
Ruth was a typical boy in every way except that her parents encouraged her to wear a dress.
The children knew about the mining company pINCO and had heard about the things that went on underground, deep below the surface of their hometown.
The children were told that if they were very, very good, they would get their pictures in a special magazine called the pINCO Triangle.
After that, the boy worked, and one day he did get his picture in the pINCO Triangle for winning the science fair.
Ruth got her picture in the pINCO Triangle for drinking a pop. Science fair.
Science fair. Welcome to a science fair. Our
Sudbury and how it got
that way. What is a chromosome
and
why do we have them?
Why do we have them?
It's as easy as X, Y, Z.
If a nuclear warhead were dropped on Sudbury,
it would be a desolate, blackened wasteland,
incapable of supporting
life. I have irrefutable proof that there really is something in the water. The Sudbury Basin Saga.
The original and unique concentration of the Sudbury nickel-copper ores is a riddle that has fascinated geologists ever since the discovery days over 100 years ago. Now an intriguing new theory is rapidly gaining support. A theory strongly supported by evidence in the laboratory that the Sudbury Basin is what is left of a crater blasted out of the Earth's crust by an enormous meteorite that crashed to Earth with an impact 200,000 times as powerful as the Hiroshima atomic bomb. This impact left a large crater which is now called the Sudbury Basin. Although it is not a perfect circle today, we think that this is the result of later deformation or squeezing. An explosion this large will do funny things to the minerals. Could that mean that Sudbury is probably unique and there is no other place like it?
The Sudbury Basin shines like a giant nickel coin on a drab background. A mine shaft there is as common a landmark as is a smokestack in the south, and many of its citizens are the men who work its mines, thousands of feet underground.
But admittedly, there is something very weird and quirky about Sudbury. Like, we grew up there, I think we know that, even if we can't define it. And yet, people from other places will say, "Oh yeah, you're from Sudbury. What was that like?"
Stompin' Tom Connor's song, Sudbury Saturday Night, I think he put it into pop discourse. He said that there is something peculiarly rough and tumble and most likely hetero about this place. It really, I think because it is so multicultural, because it's one industry, because it's isolated, it's a town for survival, and if you're different, God help you.
Well, it's kind of like, it's Sudbury, it's kind of like the The Canadian version of the gulag, you know, people say, well, if you did something wrong in another life, this is where you get sent.
Well, the 60s astronauts had nowhere else to train. In order to simulate the surface of the moon, they came to Sudbury, and they were able to bounce along in their space suits and think that, oh, this is what the face of the moon is going to be. And I think it turned out that, yes, this was just like the face of the moon. And I suppose there's as many fags on the face of the moon as there are in Sudbury, you know.
Why, Sudbury's expanding so fast, they'll tell you, they've got no place to put the new houses. Already they're overflowing into McKim Township. And the reason for it all projects in its background, the great nickel mines.
Sudbury's blue collar, it's working class, it's staunchly working class. To me that means a very narrow outlook.
Working in a company town or living in a company town where, I mean, there weren't even old people who were retired, right? Or, I mean, you had to be married and have children to live in this town. And there were no, in Lively, one of the company towns. If you were retired, you didn't live there. And if you didn't have children, then you wouldn't get a house there. And everyone was always white. So you had like your traditional family. And so, yeah, I didn't know other things were possible.
My dad worked in pINCO from 1946 till he died in '73. So we're talking 27 years with the company, and it was everything he did, you know what I mean? I mean, it put bread and butter on your table, it brought, you know, it paid the mortgage on the house, it bought your car.
Most miners drive their own cars. Sudbury boasts the highest basic wage rate of any city in Canada. The symphony of languages you hear are made up of the 28 separate sounds of 28 racial groups. The neon in orange and red and blue blinks a story of harmony and prosperity.
I mean, surprisingly, Sudbury is an incredibly multicultural city. There's people from all over Eastern and Western Europe, the Caribbean. There's, you know, certain Latin American population there. But I think that one of the things that taught me was that all marginalities are not the same. That, okay, it may be a very multicultural place. There's a Serbo-Croatian hall. There's the, you know, Latin American club. There's Sample Hall for the Finns. But all those are sort of, you know, ethnic or racial definitions. That's fine, that type of difference is okay. But when it comes down to sexual difference and gender difference, that's when it becomes threatening for people.
Let's forget about languages and ethnic backgrounds and all of this. The culture of Northern Ontario is a very macho, working, blue-collar, and I'm not saying that in a pejorative way. There are good qualities as well in that kind of culture.
There was very little acceptance of anything different, and that's just not gay. I mean, anything different, even straight-wise, was not acceptable. You looked alike, you dressed alike, you talked alike, that sort of thing. The pINCO Triangle featured my birth announcement, and it featured the retirement of my grandfather, the retirement of my father, the retirement of my father's friends. It had a picture of him in the mine that my mother cut out and had framed. I remember the smell of the pages when they came in because they smelled so good. It wasn't like newspaper, it was on glossy print.
I mean, it's the company propaganda in terms of what's happening in pINCO.
And now it talks about what pINCO is doing for the environment and how they're improving Sudbury so it doesn't look so ugly anymore, but hey.
I just remember that magazine when my dad would bring it home, you know, and there'd be pictures of the husband and wife, been in service for 25 years. It was very family-oriented and the perfect family. As if these people don't have drug or alcohol problems or wife battering or child abuse, you know. Just this pretty picture, and it was always in black and white, eh? And here's Fred and Wilma and Pebbles and Bam Bam, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, I blinked. My eyes will be half closed, and this is how I will be remembered for the rest of eternity.
You look fine, but what about me? Is my helmet straight?
No, it's definitely crooked.
I don't know why we have to take this stupid picture anyways.
It's to show the citizens of Sudbury, not to mention the other employees of pINCO, our leader, what a normal and happy family unit we are. Kiss, kiss.
Shit, we forgot the children.
Oh, pooh. We'll remember them next time, the little dears. They're sure to be out playing in the snow or in the lake, taking advantage of the many exciting opportunities this modern city of ours has to offer our youngest citizens, who will one day thank their lucky stars they grew up in Sudbury.
The children were proud of their hometown, which was, after all, the nickel capital of the world.
Home to the tallest smokestack in the Commonwealth,
and the site of the largest freestanding nickel coin in the entire universe.
Even so, they dreamed of adventures in faraway lands.
One day the children grew up and left Sudbury. It would be many years before they came home again.
Upon their return, they were thrilled and delighted to find the bleak landscape of their childhood magically transformed.
The sight of such lush green vegetation made them look at their hometown with new eyes.
Then they began to search for signs of other things that had been hidden beneath the surface out of sight when they were children growing up in Sudbury.
Biff is a pretty good advertisement for gymnastics at that. Here you see him with the old biceps bulging. And in this second picture, as Biff does a handstand. Look at the way those back and shoulder muscles are sticking out like the stops on an organ. Just a little exercising now and then is Biff's casual explanation of how he got that way.
My father was a quite well-known athlete. When I believe he was about 14 or 15, looking very smart in snug swim trunks, he's in the air doing a perfect swan dive off of a tower. I think it was at Bell Park. And this is the cover image of the pINCO triangle. It's not unlike what we might call physique photos from the 1950s, which then created the basis for an independent gay male pornography industry. At the same time, I'm sure my father would cringe and get quite squeamish at the thought that that image would be read that way.
these three booming bathroom baritones give tongue in a joyous rendition of Who Put the Overalls, etc.
Some of them were really hunky. There's some really hunky men in them, you know. I thought they were really wonderful. I thought sometimes the photographers were very selective as to who they were going to be. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember masturbating to the pINCO triangle. No, I don't. Although I probably would now.
Well, I don't know what it is these people are attempting to imply about our friends. The very normal people that are our friends and neighbors.
Well, I'm sure I don't know. Everybody knows that there aren't any fruitcakes around here.
Well, of course you don't know. It would take a twist in mind indeed to understand the vulgar and abnormal workings of minds so perverted and unwholesome.
Yes, that's right. Perverts.
Yes, you tell them. You're such a big, strong man. Listen to your father, children. See how he protects us from the evil ways of sinners and sodomites and goodness knows what else. Run from them and never look back, lest ye be turned into a pillar of salt. What's that, my dear? What's that you say? You saw Daddy where? On what page?
The little dickens. I was merely intending a social function set up by the company. You, my lovely dear, were not invited simply because it was a boys' night out, a man's only event where we played contact sports and showered together and peed on each other while shaving the pubic hair of the rookie members of the team in an attempt to bond, my dear. Bond with the fellows in a healthy, normal man's way. You women with your incessant chatter and talk of fashion parties don't understand a man's true needs.
Do you really think I sit around with my girlfriends and talk about fashion all the time?
A fashion show provided hilarious entertainment at the closing night party of the Sudbury Golf Club when the men acted as models. Two of the charmers are seen above. Ron Hinton of Creighton in a revealing evening creation by Herbert of Hanmer, and Richard Poole of Froude Stobie in a cute little sports number designed for the girl who wants to be more out than in.
Fashion is very limited. Jeans, t-shirt, not much more. That's about all. Maybe a pullover, a simple pullover, and a baseball cap.
It was a parking lot, this asphalt surface, headbangers smoking outside these big steel doors. And if they saw you coming by, it was just, fag, fag, you freak, you know, and just so chasing.
But you're forgetting one important element.
What
You
might
had a flower pot on your head. So
well, I should be allowed. It wasn't a flower pot in the sense of terracotta. It was a lovely straw hat that I thought was quite attractive, but everyone started yelling at me.
I remember it would start with these like guys, and of course they were drinking like mugs, these pails of beer, copious amounts of beer, and they were intoxicated, and they wore these baseball hats backwards, and they had these like hockey jackets with like mine mill killers or whatever they were. I don't know, some crazy hockey thing, and they'd have like their jeans and like rolled up with like these big cowboy boots, and they would start, you know, and they'd go fag, and then it's like, oh God, is that me? And then they'd go, yeah, fag in the polka dotted purple shirt. I love that shirt. And then they'd start, like two of them would start, then three, then four, and then they'd get their girlfriends into it.
Even some women gave me a rough time, straight women, you know, with their redneck boyfriends there. Oh yeah, you're a queer or something like that. I said, yeah, I'm a queer and I like it, you know. So they give you a rough time too. It's almost like a contagion effect where one, if they're in a pack, I call them packs sometimes, they're together like this, one says to the other, hey, there's queers, and they go, oh yeah, you know, as if they have nothing better to do, you know, let's go pick on them.
And so they would just catcall me, and then they'd go on the dance floor, and then they'd like sort of like, you know, they'd knock you, and you'd be like, oh God, you know, just keep on dancing, keep on dancing, keep on dancing. And then I remember leaving, embarrassed out of my mind, coming home, and Paul was in my bed. And I remember going down and saying, you know, they were calling me a fag and blah, blah, blah. And I just kept voguing. And they were, oh, la, 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 Sudbury is burning, la, 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 la. And then we had sex. Me, a fag.
The Donovan boys came out and stood on the other side of the street and picked up rocks and waiting for gays to come out, and we were stoning them, and it was awful. It was just horrible. I got hit by rocks. Older gentlemen got thrown to the ground, glasses smashed, cars were damaged. There was no police to be found.
You're afraid that you're going to get harassed. You're afraid that your house is going to be vandalized. You're afraid that your car is going to get the tires slashed, that you're going to get obscene phone calls, that you might even be attacked personally, physically. These are all still very concrete things that people are afraid of in a town like Sudbury.
The only way you could get to know anybody who was gay was to know somebody who was gay. And once you plugged into that network, then you knew everybody.
And then do you remember the Colson Hotel and the Frontenac Hotel, the men's bar? I used to go in there and sit there, and there used to be a lot of big, bruisey sort of miners that used to chase after the boys. They used to exchange rings and things like that. Yeah, because, you know, they were their boy.
I must have slept through all that.
I remember going with our dates to see the slag dumps. Yeah, we used to drive down to the slag dump, sit in the back seat and suck cock while we were watching the lights come down. It was great. It was wonderful, yeah. Did you do that? No, you didn't do that.
I wish I could have experienced those slag heaps, not with my heterosexual boyfriend and the pouring lava, but with a gorgeous young bull dyke from the hockey team.
The elephant walk is an amusing gymnastic stunt that is always a favorite at this Sudbury Girls Fitness Club.
My friend got a job at pINCO. It was a really good job to have. I don't know if it still is, but at that time it was the best job you could have for the summer. It paid a lot of money. He got stuck in the smelter, which was really awful, except every lunch hour he'd get into a closet and he'd have sex with the guys there. And it was quick, and once the guys were finished, they'd never look at him, they'd never talk about it, nobody ever said anything. It was just in and out, bang, and you're out, that sort of thing, which was really interesting for me. I couldn't believe that it was actually happening, but that's how he spent his summers. Thank you, pINCO.
The nickel sulfide sinks to the bottom, and the copper sulfide remains on top, hence the term tops and bottoms.
There's nothing more homoerotic than going into the mine in one of those cages. And well, all these miners do. They all stand there like real tight, and they're all grabbing each other's balls all the time. Straight guys or gay guys. It's true. They all do it. I loved it. You know, you had to put your lunchbox like this, otherwise you were going to get one of the boys grabbed.
Now let's join these miners going to work underground.
Last call for cage, 4,000 foot level.
And I had sex a lot down there. We used to go down, smoke up, and like have sex with our lamps off.
And we knew if anybody came, we knew we'd see their light because it was obvious only one entrance. So, and we knew, you get to know after a while when they'll be around or stuff like that. So it turned out all right anyways. It was a good underground experience.
Having finished their work underground, these miners are brought to the surface to check in their time.
when I left Sudbury and I moved to Toronto and I moved to Montreal, one of the things that kind of hit me, and of course I realized later that I was just unlucky or something. The further south I came, the shorter the dicks got. They're really big up there compared to down here, you know? Except for me, of course, I'm from up there.
They're like mushrooms, they grow in the dark, eh?
When you're 16, it's an enormous distance, though. I mean, you know, to pay $80 round trip on the Greyhound to get to Toronto, when your folks are wondering why you want to do that, why do you want to go, down to Toronto? You tell them you want to go shopping. Well, you have no money of your own. You know, you want me to buy you a ticket to go to Sin City, and of course the Toronto-Sudbury relation. A lot of people in Sudbury are looking upon Toronto exactly as Sin City. So you're going to Sodom. That's nice.
I went to the big Toronto city, and I think that was, geez, can't remember what year. I'm putting an age on myself. I think it was 77. I lasted for about 4 or 5 months, and then couldn't see the sun going down because there was too many buildings, and couldn't go fishing where I wanted to because I'd have to travel too far. Couldn't go swimming in Lake Ontario, that's for sure. So I came home. I'm a northerner for sure.
For me, it was, I'm going to go to Sudbury and I'm going to come to terms with my sexuality. You know, for me, Sudbury was the big city, and where I was definitely going to be able to live more openly and with a lot more freedom, my exploration of sexuality. And I remember feeling that I was going to go to Sudbury and I was going to become a lesbian.
We are here for Sudbury and Northern Ontario's first ever lesbian, gay, bisexual Pride Day parade.
I've been waiting 50 years for this.
You're an abomination to the Lord! An abomination to the Lord! An abomination to mankind!
I think if they want to be lesbian and gays, it's their business, but I don't think that they have to exhibit themselves like that.
But you cannot equalize two unequal things. A heterosexual family, it's not same as a homosexual family from any point of view, even biological, even logical, even moral point of view. Are we today so crazy that we don't see the difference?
Had it with these ridiculous stereotypes. We all know this marriage is a farce. My heels are killing me. I'm leaving.
The children.
Oh, please. As if some cardboard cutouts are going to convince anyone of anything. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. You're gay, gay, gay. Yes, you're a pathetic, whinging Nancy boy. You're a poofter, a smelly Nelly, a namly-pamly queer boy, Mr. Faggoty Fag.
What are you implying?
I'm saying that I've had enough. I've had enough of these oppressive stereotypes. I've had enough of pretending we're a normal family. I've had enough of standing here in this stupid Donna Reed zombie-like outfit with this stupid Donna Reed zombie-like smile. I've had enough and I'm moving on out.
Are you crazy? We worked so hard to get into the pINCO triangle. What will all our perfectly normal friends and colleagues, the people of Sudbury who work for pINCO, say?
Well, actually, I don't care. And furthermore, I'm going to sing. I'm going to sing about the absurd experience of living repressed and miserable lives in the cold and isolated land that is Northern Ontario. Would you care to join me? You might as well. You look very stupid there on your own.
Your frank and straightforward comments have caused me to rethink my hypocritical position on this issue, and I've changed my mind. You go ahead. I'm right behind you. But first, I think it's time to play Mr. Cross-Dresser.
of the photograph when the picture frame's too small. There's lots of space in the image, but there's no room for us all. An underground explosion is what it's all about. Hell, it's not a commotion. Push up to the surface, now we're coming out. Hey, I'm from underground. Hey, hey, I'm from underground. Nothing stays the same. Down below there's a hidden thing. Something queer going down. Something's going down. Then nickel doing more than mining count. There's something in the water. There's something in the water. City where the girls are butch and the boys are pretty, the mines are deep and the rocks are black. The smoke comes out of a super stack. Go down the shaft, mine for ore, try once, come back for more. Out of the bushes and down the slag. Some of the ladies are men in drag. Dig deep. Dig deep. Check it out. Something in the water. Something down below. A meteor once landed here, and now the rocky landscape's queer. The great explosion came and went, and left the place a little bent. A mining and refining town where smoke goes up and the boys go down. It's true.
Are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle as our eyes begin to twinkle. We'll think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. Saturday night. Sudbury Saturday night. Sudbury Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm underground. Something in the air. Gotta take a look around. Coming out, moving up. I'm from underground. Take a look around. I'm from underground.
Are you from Sudbury?
Is anyone from Sudbury?
Sudbury
where? Hey! Hey! Hey, they just laughed at our beautiful hometown. They laughed at our hometown, Chris.
Oh well, at least they didn't try and break the camera like those other people.
It's true. What is so funny about being from Sudbury? Are you from Sudbury? Sorry. Anyone from Sudbury? Really? peculiar.
What is Sudbury?
Sudbury's Sudbury. It's a place about 250 miles north of Toronto, and we're doing a video about growing up gay in Sudbury. You've never heard of Sudbury?
Yes, I've heard of Sudbury.
Have you ever been to Sudbury?
Yes, I've been to Sudbury.
What were your experiences like in Sudbury?
I was hitchhiking through.
Were you like gay in Sudbury?
I'm not gay.
You're not gay and you're not from Sudbury. I'm afraid that definitely disqualifies you from this video, but thank you for trying, and perhaps next year. Obviously a closeted Sudbury and homosexual. What would he be doing talking to people making a video about growing up gay in Sudbury if he is neither gay nor from Sudbury? Could it be that he found me attractive? Hard to imagine.
And the girls are out the bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. We think no more of bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night.